All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Detroit Sports Talk here, the fifth chapter presented by CashToBitcoin.com. I'm Dennis Fithian, joined by Touchdown, Brian JELINEK, who's ready to go here on this Tuesday, the holiday week. JELINEK, how are you?
Holiday week, man. I'm recovering. This weekend was tough for a lot of football reasons, and it was not a fun weekend in the JELINEK household for the Saturday game against Ohio State.
No, I would imagine that there are a lot of people feeling just like you when it came down to that game. A lot of it, everything on the table,
Bruised ego,
all the chances in the world. And now it shifts to Michigan fans have that same feeling, heading up to the week like, oh, yeah, party time. Hopefully they're not going to feel like you guys.
No, we're going to talk about it later in the show, but I'm in on the Amazing Blue this weekend. I'm excited, and I think Michigan's going to play well. So
wow,
yeah,
coming in hot right off the bat. That's what I like. Well, we have a super show for you here. The entire gang. Save. We're waiting for RAAJ to see if he joins, but we've got everybody. We got a new 10-year contract for Pete out in Happy Valley. We've got Adrian's here. Rob's putting it all together. So all of that is going to be good. But let's take a look. You mentioned, the things that we're going to be talking about. Let's take a look at our book and the chapters. And that is brought to you by our title sponsor, and that is CashToBitcoin.com. There it is. And hey, I know you've thought about it just like me, how you get involved in the cryptocurrency game. Now I'm here to tell you how to do it. You go to CashToBitcoin.com. That's cash, the number 2, Bitcoin.com. I was listening to the Red Wings game, and, I hear their spots. And just like the Isiah plan, I'm fired up for the future. CashToBitcoin.com is one of the fastest and largest growing crypto ATMs in Michigan. They have hundreds of locations in Michigan and beyond. CashToBitcoin.com's ATMs and terminals offer safe and secure transactions. So get it going, check it up, and check it out. Like JELINEK there on the full screen there. Now is the time. Folks, remember it, use it. CashToBitcoin.com.
Absolutely. And fifth, we did allude to it for a second. We will talk about Michigan, Ohio State coming up shortly, but I think starting off in Chapter 1 is a solid plan. What do you think?
You know what? It makes a lot of sense to me. And that gets us right to the basketball game on Sunday, which is going to take us also to this Sunday. And we know there's not going to be the Lions, but you might get more physicality with Beef Stew, who had the altercation with LeBron this past Sunday. Beef Stew gets 2 games. LeBron gets 1, but they will both be eligible to play on Sunday. So there's a lot of different things to talk about when it comes down to this. Let's start out with, he is here on Thursdays, but Thursday's going to be Thanksgiving. So there he is, Adrian Myers, who joins us. You see him with a hat on. Adrian, how are you?
Good, fellas. How y'all doing?
We're doing good. Let's get to this. There you go, the 3x3. We'll have everybody get in here and given a chance to talk about this, but let's just get your impressions. Sunday, we'll start with you, JELINEK. You had just a run-of-the-mill free throw. And then this all happened. Take us through it. Give us your thoughts any way you want to go about it.
Well, I mean, we all know that LeBron isn't really a dirty player, and that's fine, and people can say that for the past, but at the end of the day, that is a dirty play. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. I don't like Frank Vogel going up there and saying LeBron's always played basketball the right way. Like, that's fine. I get it. Stuff happens. Just admit that it was a bad, dirty play at the end of the day. I mean, the dude, Beef Stew's face was all bloody. He was as red as Adrian's shirt right there. Like, it's just unacceptable. Stuff like that can't happen. And the fact that Beef Stew got a 2-game suspension compared to LeBron's 1 game is just absurd. It's just that simple. At the end of the day, it's a dirty freaking play in basketball.
Adrian, what about you? Go through it.
I've been hearing all the analysts and everybody talking about this. Well, for me, I'm surprised, but I'm happy the NBA did the right thing by suspending LeBron James, which they needed to absolutely do to set a precedent. And I know they played the Knicks tonight, but who cares? I figured my guess was LeBron would get 1 or 2 games. I actually thought they'd give Beef Stew a little more, maybe 3 games, just to let him know. But I don't really have any complaints with the suspension. I just think that here's the thing: like everybody in the NBA wants to be a tough guy and wants to act tough. If he really wanted to punch LeBron, let's keep it real. He would have did it when they got into it at the beginning. But nobody wants to really lose that money. And I think the NBA was petrified of this situation just because the Malice of the Palace was 17 years ago, almost to the day. So I don't think there was anything wrong with the suspensions. I think the league handled it right. And like Brian said, LeBron I don't think he's a dirty player, but that was a dirty play.
Yeah.
Once you ball your fist up and hit a guy in the face, hey, it's all fun and games until it happens to you and you see what you do. But I don't think Isiah didn't really understand the magnitude until he looked at his face and seen that it was completely like he just got his eye cut up, and so I think that's when he lost it. But them really fighting on it, I didn't think was gonna happen. I heard LeBron try to get his phone number, and contact him, whatever. But to just be simple, they suspended him. Let's move on with it. I just think this whole situation is way much of a bigger deal than what it really needs to be.
Well, it gets people excited about the game on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's for sure. For a lot of people that otherwise wouldn't be watching it. I was watching it live and I was just sitting there chilling and I was just like, whoa, 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 kind of doing like, and then to see the people just like tripping like Twitter, like, oh my God, this is the craziest thing. LeBron's the biggest a-hole. And, I was thinking, it was probably inadvertent. My first thought was it's probably inadvertent, but it didn't matter because it didn't matter if you're just a Detroit sports fan or you're Detroit media. Everybody's just like, LeBron's the biggest culprit, a villain of all time. This guy's a complete jerk. And then I'm like, well, then I saw the one from the baseline. And yeah, I mean, when your hands get up there was no doubt, he punched them, whether he's in the league for 19 years. And I found it out later that he was only ejected one other time. He lost it. LeBron comments on so many different things. After the game, it would have been nice for him to make himself available and said, hey, you know what? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I lost it a little bit. I was there. I got my hands up. And yeah, I punched. I'd have more respect for him, or some respect, if he would have did that. But I ended up siding with most of Detroit. Everybody was just like automatically like, I hate this guy. Like Michael Jordan, Detroit versus everyone. I ended up kind of jumping in with everybody else after that. Where at first I was just like, come on, man. It's just, these kind of things happen. But I do think it amps things up for Sunday. And you know what? Out of those things that come in there, I like how Cade Cunningham was in there trying to hold back Beef Stewart, and made for a lot of cool little gifts and everything of him trying to break through the line and everything that Rob was showing. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Adrian makes a good point. I'm glad the NBA did something, because like if nothing happened to LeBron, you'd be like, wow, that is typical NBA. Because like you look at like the NFL, for example, and when Tom Brady deflated footballs, they suspended the guy. They suspended the poster boy for the NFL. So I'm glad at the end of the day that the NBA did something to suspend, in my opinion, the best player of all time, but the biggest face in the NBA right now.
Yeah, they had to do something, Adrian, but here's the thing, like everybody wants, this isn't equal. LeBron, whether you're like JELINEK and think he's the greatest player or the second greatest player, I mean, he's one of the greatest players of all time. And people want to, like, the Knicks want to see LeBron James. They're not going to be able to see him tonight. Nobody's, clamoring to see Isaiah Stewart. That's life. I mean, people are like, it's not fair. Life's not fair that way. LeBron's going to get breaks. He's going to get calls. And, Stu, you can't run around like that, even though, the sight of blood and everything, people I want it equal, or the NBA's farcical. Come on. Like, so don't watch it anymore if you're looking for everything to be, totally square and everything, fair. This isn't, grade school where everybody gets, the same amount of recess or whatever else. It's a star-driven league. It's always been like that. We can cry about it. That's not fair. That's fine. Cry.
That's a good way to put it, too. I mean, LeBron did lose it, don't get me wrong, but I also like seeing chippiness in sports like that. I think that's severely lacked in my day of age. Like, I wish I grew up watching 80s and 90s basketball. Dudes were just punching each other in the face and all that. Like, it would be one thing, like, for example, we look at Chase Utley in the MLB back in the day. That dude was a dirty player, sliding spikes up on Wilmer Flores, bowling over catchers, stuff like that. Like, I get if that happens regularly, you can be more pissed off at LeBron. But look, the dude was just probably upset about something, and just bam, it happened. It's not the biggest deal at the end of the world, but I like seeing some stuff like that. I like seeing chippiness in sports. I don't like seeing a guy's face all bloodied up. That's too far. But I like seeing when guys I don't like seeing all this lovey-dovey stuff in sports anymore.
I was about to second that before you even said it. I like the fact that, hey, let's get a little toughness in here. Let's get a little physical, because as we all know, the NBA is soft. The NBA is so soft nowadays. You tap a guy on the back of the head, that's a flagrant too. So I like it, but there's just a boundary that you got to be able to heed by. So like people being pissed off about Isiah Stewart getting a couple games, I'm not mad about it. I like his toughness and I like his willingness to fight. You know, that's what we do here at the 313. So I like the energy he brings for this team. It's a good young guy, you know, trying to call out the face of the league right now. But at the end of the day, you're not going to win when it comes to LeBron James. He is still the face of the NBA. So the NBA got to it right away. They took care of it. Let's move on. I know everybody's going to be counting down till Sunday when they're both, you know, eligible to come back and play. So I mean, hey, it happened. So imagine if this was abroad. My thing with Isiah was he just was being super extra when he decided, hey, I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna go inside the locker room. Then I'm gonna run out. I'm gonna run over officials. I'm gonna run over team security. I'm gonna run over my coaches. He could have hurt them. So it's just a thing, and nothing was gonna come good of that. So they nipped it in the butt early. And I just gotta give a quick shout out to K Don. He had his first career triple-double as a Detroit Pistons, youngest player in franchise history. But once that happened, I knew the Lakers were going to win that game. You saw the writing on the wall easily. So this is something that this team has to learn how to do, is to be able to win games like this and be able to overcome adversity. So it's something they're learning how to do right now.
Yeah, too bad. You know, Cade Cunningham had when he got blocked and then missed a shot down there, and Anthony Davis made the 2 plays. But, you know, Cade Cunningham is going to make those plays in the future. Let's get some of the feedback here. David talking about Beef Stew. He's got the toughness you can't teach. He reminds him of Big Ben. I'm glad he's a Piston. And I think, Adrian, your point about a lot of different things could have happened there. Could have hurt his team, could have hurt a number of different people, could have hurt himself and all of that. But it doesn't look like, besides, I don't know, maybe he'll be okay. I would think that he'd be okay with that. He endeared himself to Piston fans because they like that. You know how many bad boys, Detroit versus everyone, the 313 that you referenced there. That's all I've seen, you know, since Sunday. People line it up talking about Beef Stew and just how much they love him. And a throwback. Birdie saying very dirty play. Yeah, it was dirty. It was. Bottom line, it was a dirty play. And, you know, if there's one city when it comes down to Jordan and LeBron James that hates him the most, it is Detroit. You know, there's a lot of fans of them, but a lot of people that hate those two guys as well. That didn't help out LeBron here in Detroit at all.
We got to do a list one of these days on the most hated athletes by Detroit fans, which is a very long list of guys, I would say.
I would too. I would think right now LeBron would be on the top of that list.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100% he would be.
Yeah, when you have a competitive team, like when the Tigers are in it, you know, you start looking at the White Sox, you start looking at the Twins, the people that are in their division, you know, they're Tiger killers. I mean, there's guys routinely that come up like that when the you know,
Billy Butler back in the day. Billy Butler raked against the Tigers. That dude,
Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. You know, you go there when the Wings
Sidney
were good.
Crosby.
You know, there you go. Sidney Crosby's a good one. Yeah, you keep going. There's a lot of different guys that you'd go through there, but yeah, those are some good villains right off the bat. Claude Lemieux might not be a bad one.
That may be the all-timer. That guy's got to be at the top of the list, right? He has to be. That kind of just initiated that whole rivalry right there, just jamming Chris Draper into the boards. Yeah. He had to start that whole rivalry in the 90s, right?
Yeah, I would put Crosby in the top 5 too. People really hate Sidney Crosby in Detroit.
Yeah, a guy at work told me the other day, he said he still hates Sidney Crosby to this day. And I'm like, man, that was over 10 years ago. And he said he's still not letting it go.
That Sidney Crosby might not be just a Detroit thing, though. Like, that's one of those dudes, it's like a Brad Marchand, too. Like, if he's not on your team, you effing hate the guy. So I think a lot of the NHL, besides the Penguins, hate Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, Jordan's on that list, too. And Nelson Cruz. There you go, David.
I hate that guy. I hate that man.
Very good one. All right. Anything else on Beef Stew?
Yeah, one last thing. Why is LeBron playing in Detroit? Why in the world was he on the floor? Like, if I was Frank Vogel, just LeBron was not. I'm resting all my stars whenever they come to Detroit. I don't get why in the world he would be playing.
Just the only caveat I got to that is just because he's coming off that 2-week injury and he played terrible against Boston, so he's trying to get back in the game.
Tune-up game.
Yeah, and we were already pissed because I went to the game Friday and missed Steph Curry and Draymond, obviously. So you know they didn't want to see the fans miss out on LeBron. So
yeah, I hate load management. I'm not gonna dog guys for playing. I want to see him play. It's one thing. LeBron has had different times where he looks like he was for load management, and the other times he wasn't. So I'm glad he played, at least for that. All right, that gets us to chapter 2.
Woo, and that means we are talking about the game in Ann Arbor at noon at the Big House, even though I just said it's in Ann Arbor. Michigan and Ohio State are playing, which is basically a playoff game. It's going to be the chance to win the Big Ten East, a chance to go to the playoff. It is an all-around amazing afternoon for that rivalry. And guys, I can't wait. Adrian, we can start with you about it, but what are your thoughts going to the game?
Speaking of that, the CFB will be dropping probably within the next 15, 20 minutes, but so we'll probably get there while we're recording. But I'm kind of going into the game a little hopeful, but I don't expect a lot of it's gonna kind of see what happens after what they did to Michigan State last week. Is this team, the Ohio State team, is on a roll. I'm nervous with those receivers they got of Smith and Jigba, Olave, Wilson. I think that's the key, is to slowing them down. And we have to, in order to win the game, we have to hold the football, run it well, keep them off the field as much as possible. I think our defense is a lot better than Michigan State's. That pass defense can't be any worse.
No.
I'm optimistic, but I still see us losing this game. But I think it'll be a little more competitive. And I say this every year. I'm trying not to get upset, but I know at some point in time during the game, I will find myself standing up or yelling at the TV or just losing it. But overall, I'm nervous for sure. But to be honest with you, I don't expect us to win this game.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a Michigan tempo the whole time. I don't think Michigan could stand toe-to-toe with them offensively. I think, I was watching the Manning cast last night in that brutal Bucks and Giants game.
Oh, God.
And they had Bill Parcells, and Parcells had won a Super Bowl with the Giants when he was the head coach, and he was taking on Marv Levy's Buffalo Bills. And that game is famous for taking the K gun and keeping them on the sideline and just running the ball and shrinking the game. And that's exactly what Michigan needs to do. I don't think Michigan can get down 10 points and you think about, let's just hand it to Cade Cunningham, let him start dealing over there and come back. That's not going to happen. Michigan needs to shrink that game. They need to come up and find some turnovers. They need to win the special teams portion of things. And then, get a couple stops. It's not going to stop that trio of wide receivers that you just went through, Adrian. Those guys are awesome. They'll probably all be first-round picks. Michigan's just got to get them off the field a couple times. And I think, Hassan Haskins, and I think they got 2 wild cards. One is Blake Corum, who could be coming back in this one and can catch the ball out of the backfield, and Donovan Edwards, who had 10 catches for 170 yards last week. I mean, these guys are players that can get out, make you miss, and can be game changers. And I think those are 2 wild cards that Michigan has up their sleeve. But if they're going to win, I think you're going to know after the first quarter, hey, a lot of Hassan Haskins, a lot of time of possession here, keeping that Ohio State, get a stop. And then, next thing you know, it squeezes them a little bit. And Stroud, who's a freshman over there, even though he's the Heisman front runner, because you can't let him get going and feel good like he did against your team, Jelinek, or it's going to be over quick. I mean, we see how fast it was over, right? I've never seen a game over that fast.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to go against you guys. I feel confident about Michigan just for the fact that –
Really?
Yeah, I do, and this is shocking for me to even say, but I think Michigan's offense has become more balanced in the Michigan State game. Listen, Cade McNamara is not one of the best quarterbacks in college football. I get that. But at the end of the day, he's been playing well. They've been throwing the ball damn near 30 times a game, which is awesome compared to what they were 4 or 5 weeks ago. But Jim Harbaugh has shown that he's going to be really aggressive running the football and going for 4th downs, basically in between the 40s and all that. And I think if Michigan plays a game where they're running the ball for at least 3.4 yards a game, which they are in Big Ten play, which I understand is not great, but if you're playing 4-down football, you can line up and do 4th and shorts. And just Jim Harbaugh has shown that he'll pound the ball like that. And Michigan had drives against Penn State where they were on the field for 7, 8, damn near 9 minutes. So I think if Michigan can get that balanced attack going, run the ball and control the clock, I really do think Michigan has a chance to win the game, just for the fact that don't allow CJ Stroud on the field. It's that simple. And I might take Michigan money line. I really do think so, because to keep this rant going, every year that Michigan has under the Jim Harbaugh area that they've contended for the Big Ten East going into the Ohio State game, it's always been at the shoe. It's totally different this year being in Ann Arbor. That's going to be – Ohio State hasn't played anybody on the road. I like Michigan at home to beat Ohio State. I really do. I think this is the year Jim Harbaugh gets it done.
All right, real quick.
You're going to give the college football rankings? Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah.
Go ahead. That's what I was going to do.
Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, jumps Bama. Then you got. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dennis. Cut off for me.
That's what I want. That's what I wanted you to do. I wanted you to just go through them there. Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Cincinnati 4. Cincinnati 4, Michigan 5, and who's it? Notre Dame.
Where's Oklahoma State at? That's my sleeper.
I don't know. I only have the first 6, so I would have guessed they're 7, but I don't have the full rankings in front of me.
I love Michigan this week, guys. I really do. I think Michigan's going to get it done.
We hope you're right.
I hope you're right. For anything, to be honest with you, I think the biggest X factor is going to be the play of Ajabo and Aiden Hutchinson being able to see if they can get pressure on CJ Stroud and make him throw the ball quick, because we've seen him get happy feet early in the season. If you watch these games, he has nothing but time to sit back there and just throw and pick people apart. So if they can get to him and create a little pressure, then that's going to help them out a lot. Also, I think Ohio State's defensive line is not as good as everybody thinks they are. The offense is so good that the defense is basically pinning their ears back and, just getting after the quarterback. So I think if we can test them, and that's going to stretch the game out and stretch the defense out, be able to set some big plays off, maybe off some play action. And like you said, I don't think Cade is the best quarterback, but he's a great game manager. JJ is obviously more talented, but Cade has shown the ability to be able to win some games for this team. But I'm still leaning towards Ohio State, but I think it's going to be closer than, what everybody thinks, especially being at home in the big house.
All right, guys, let's get feedback here. All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just have to do this. If you look at Ohio State's road wins this year, they haven't played anybody. They've played Indiana, they've been at Rutgers, they've been at Minnesota, and they've been at Michigan State. I understand that Michigan State's the best group of that bunch, but at the end of the day, they have not played anybody on the road. The Big House is going to be their most hostile environment. You have to remember that CJ Stroud is a freshman. I really think this is a good year for Michigan. I get that Ohio State's playing really good football right now, but it's going to be different on the road in the Big House. I just think it's that simple.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's that simple. I do think Michigan has a chance, and we've gone over the reasons. And I think, having 2 defensive ends that can get after the quarterback, I think that, being at home, that certainly does help. And Michigan, they've got some personnel this time around. I mean, I think the schemes let them down for sure. Like in 2018, the man-to-man and the crossing routes. I mean, that was ridiculous. Coaching lost them the game. I think what Mike McDonald has defensively, I think that gives them a shot. And I think what they're bringing to the table with their offense, with a running game that can shrink the game a little bit, I think that'll give them a chance too. But, make no mistake. I mean, the thing about Olave and Garrett Wilson and the Jigba, I mean, these guys, all 3 of those guys, I mean, there's a lot of NFL teams would like to have those 3 guys. They're better than, obviously, they're better than anybody that the Lions are going to throw out there on Thanksgiving. I mean, they're number 1 in points, passing. I mean, every offensive category that you want to look at, not that they're just number 1 in the Big Ten. They're number 1 in the country. So you've got to – this is not a, hey, fight fire with fire. Michigan needs a lot of things to go well for them. And winning that third phase, the special teams would be huge for them. But I like the enthusiasm, Jelinek, and I like that, you're calling your shot here for Michigan. That's good. OSU is clicking on all cylinders. This is from David. There's my video. This makes me feel good. Let's watch this one together. Yes, there it is. That's what we're hoping for. OSU is clicking on all cylinders right now. Michigan is playing them at a very bad time. Give me OSU and the points. This game will not be close. Well, you and Jelinek on opposite ends of that one, David. And here's somebody that we can read and then we can see him. Doesn't matter who OSU beat on the road. They are a force right now. That is from Pete Finelli, who is a sophomore at Penn State, but he is home for Thanksgiving. There he is. And he's with us now. And, he's all excited. His coach is going to be around for 10 more years. Pete, you'll be an old man by the time James Franklin leaves Happy Valley.
If he sticks, if they don't fire him, 2031, which is just absurd to think about, and I hate it.
I was looking at Wander Franco, the shortstop for the Rays, who got a huge extension, and they're like, well, you know what? In 2031, they've got a kicker, and I'm thinking 2031. We're talking about kickers in 2031. All right. Hopefully, we'll be talking about kickers with Correa in 2031. So we'll see. But yeah, you don't feel like Michigan's got much of a chance, huh?
No, I mean we went into last week like, oh, MSU, Kenneth Walker is gonna, go off. They're gonna, they're probably not gonna win, but they're gonna have a chance. It's gonna be competitive. I mean,
what about Penn State? Penn State was at the Horseshoe, and that was a 3-point game in the fourth quarter. Pete.
Yeah, I'm crazy to think about now. Like, oh, Penn State kept it competitive. MSU went out there, but I feel like Penn State just kind of just has that rivalry with OSU where it's like it's always going to be a close game. I mean, here and there, there's a blowout, but it makes me think of some of those NFL rivalries. Like you got the Steelers and the Ravens. Like even if one team is much better one year than the other, those games are always close. Like a lot of times that's a field goal difference. So I feel like that's kind of where Penn State and Ohio State are at. And Michigan State just went in there thinking that they were going to be able to put up more of a fight. And Kenneth Walker was not a part of that game whatsoever. I know he didn't come back after halftime, but 6 touches for 25 yards. I really don't. I don't know what to think about that. When I first checked that game, maybe at the end of the first quarter, I was like, what the heck is going on here? Like, this has to be a mistake. I was so ready for this to be a shootout.
Yeah, well, Pete, that gets us. It's a nice transition because we've talked about Michigan, and Chapter 3 is Michigan State and their play at the Horseshoe. You just had your thoughts there, what you saw. You were expecting a game. Let's go to Brian JELINEK. He is a Spartan guy, and all week long, there were it was the chance. It was, it was playing for everything. A Heisman Trophy. I mean, there's you can sit around with your team for 10 or 20 years, maybe longer than that, and hope you have a shot at the everything that Michigan State had on Saturday. And JELINEK obviously didn't go your way. Let's hear what you thought about it.
On my notes, all I said was bad. That's it. That's all of my Chapter 3 notes. Bad. Just nothing worked. It wasn't even fun to watch, man. Nothing worked. Payne Thorne threw for 150 yards total. Kenneth Walker, 9 touches for 25 yards, something ridiculous like that. 6. Thank you. Yeah, it sucks. There's no other way to put it. It showed that. Listen, Mel Tucker is in year 2, and the program was in shambles. And look where we came this year, being 7-2, stuff like that. That's great. But guys, look, our secondary is bad. We're a bad third down team. It's just nothing clicked for that game at all. And it showed that Michigan State is still recovering from a team that was a program in shambles basically a year and a half ago. So there's no other way to put it. It just sucked all around. I have no idea what else to say about the game.
Well, let's go to Adrian. How would you describe what you saw on Saturday down in Columbus?
I actually thought I thought they'd keep it within a two touchdown game, and
I did too.
After about the second drive, I said, yeah, okay. I don't know who's gonna cover these receivers because literally Chester Kimbrough and Ronald Williams couldn't cover my grandma at that point. The point they were playing, Xavier Henderson couldn't do nothing to help that team. But like I said, I'm not gonna be as hard on Michigan State because, like Brian said, they're rebuilding. Nobody even expected them to have 9 wins. I believe it was 4.5 was the win total for Michigan State this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to give Mel Tucker a lot of credit. They'll get better. This is his worst team that he'll have while he's at the school. They'll be better next year than the year after that. I believe they got a top 15 recruiting class right as of now. So it's only looking up. I know it's tough. I know it's tough, bro. I know it's tough. Sparty, but they'll be all right.
Look, just one thing, Dennis, before you chime in here, is that just Mel Tucker, at the end of the day, exactly what Adrian said, like this is hands down going to be his worst team and just all that. And just you have to be, when you're looking at his extension and all that, you just have to think that, wow, we're not going to beat Ohio State or Michigan every year. I want to be able to compete with those teams every year, and every 2 or 3 years walk away with a win. That's all I'm looking for a Michigan State football program, is to compete in those games and win once or twice every 2 and 4 years, stuff like that. So at the end of the day, we're just going to write this one off. Forget about it until they play Ohio State next year when they can talk about winning 5,000-7. So that's what I'm looking at right now for the game on Saturday.
Yeah, I've been in situations where Michigan's played Ohio State, and you pretty much know that it's over after the first or second drive, and that's the way it was on Saturday. Cat knows that it was over too. Here, let's put you over here. It was a massacre, and it was tough. Like at 20, I thought, well, am I going to turn off at 14-0? No, I got to turn off. Well, how about 28-0, 35-0? I mean, at some point, it was, it got to be ridiculous. I didn't watch the second half.
I was out after 21-0. I'm like, I'm done. I have stuff to do in our new house. I'm done. 21-0. I'm good. I'm out.
Yeah, the cat does look like Rob's cat. You're right. I see that. We've both noticed that, Penny, that our cats look a lot alike. I've got a couple cats in here, but this was the one that likes to be in the studio. David talking about Walker losing the Heisman. He did. Stroud put himself into the lead, and there's been Michigan coaches that have been like, Aiden Hutchinson deserves to be on the list. But if Aiden Hutchinson wants to go out there and get 3 or 4 sacks and turn the game and be the player of the game, maybe he does deserve to be on that list. We'll see Saturday, but that's what happens. You play. It wasn't against Rutgers, like when he had that great run against Rutgers. Somebody said, "There's his Heisman moment." It's like, what?
Yeah,
come on.
I mean, oh God, CJ Stroud is really good at football.
Unbelievable.
That dude's a freak, man. He's so good. Like that's one of the only things that came from the game. Was like, wow, Ohio State. The receivers are really good. Their tight ends sleep like he's a sleeper. He's awesome. I'm just looking at CJ Stroud like, oh my God, like that guy's unreal. He did put himself in the Heisman contention for that reason, and he's a freak. I think he's a front runner.
Henderson's not bad either. Yeah, he is the front runner.
He's the front runner.
Unfortunately, maybe Michigan can knock him down a peg.
I would love to see that.
All right, Blue. You guys ready to move on to the 4th chapter?
Do we have to?
Well, we could stay and talk about other names for that game that Michigan State put up against Ohio State. Before we do that, I do want to thank our presenting sponsor, and that is cashtobitcoin.com. So yeah, now we'll turn the page to the excitement of Thanksgiving Day and look back to this past Sunday.
Oh God. All right. So Pete, I saw you in the chat working a little bit, just talking about how the NFL needs to find a new tradition of not having Dallas and Detroit play on Thanksgiving. Before we jump into the Lions playing the Browns, the Lions playing the Bears, on Thursday. Pete, as a non-Detroiter or a person from Dallas, what's your beef with Dallas and Detroit playing on Thanksgiving?
My beef with Dallas and Detroit is, first off, Detroit sucks. I mean, they have forever, and it's you want to watch, good Thanksgiving football with your family, but you have Detroit, and especially this year, you have Detroit playing against Andy Dalton and the Bears. I mean, that's a historically bad game right there. And then
as bad as Danny Dimes last night.
All right. Well, you know what? The Giants aren't on Thanksgiving for a reason.
Okay.
I'm not saying that they should be the new norm by any means.
10 cents.
Oh, well, you know what? Speaking of him, Jason Garrett is gone, which thank God.
Yeah, but you're going to Freddie Kitchens, so
well, he's a temporary thing. So you know what?
Okay.
I'm not. Believe me, I'm not thrilled with that either. But you know what? I'm glad that they fixed one problem on that team. And then Dallas is America's team, but unless you're from Dallas, you pretty much hate the Cowboys. I mean, I think that's a pretty communal thing. And I'm not. Honestly, I prefer like what they do with the night game, where it's just kind of like it's pretty random. Like what we got this year, Bills at Saints. That's a good game. That's a good game. I mean, I know the Saints don't have Jameis anymore, and the Bills have been kind of iffy lately, but that's still going to be a fun game to watch. Whereas Dallas has lost 5 of the last 7 Thanksgiving games, and most of them in pretty brutal fashion too. So I don't want a new Thanksgiving team to be, I don't want someone to be on it every year like Detroit and Dallas are. I just want good games to watch, and I don't care who it is. If it is Dallas, that's fine.
Okay.
But as long as it's a good competitive game,
Yeah, well, I would look at it like this if I was somebody from outside Detroit. Like, I don't like I'm not sticking up for the Ford family. I mean, William Clay Ford's the worst owner in professional sports history. But, the Lions have had this tradition since 1935. And the one thing about them is they've been a good league member. They suck. The refs, take shots. Other teams do. They sit there at the bottom of the league. Ford dumps a bunch of money in, the car, the motor company, all of that. So they've been good league members. You just give them this game. You know what? You eat Thanksgiving at 1:30 at halftime. You can get drunk by the third quarter if you're over there. It's the Lions. It's like watching the Thanksgiving Day parade. You joke around with your family and everything, and you do get the nightcap. There's another one. I don't think that they should move this. Leave it for Detroit. In other cities, like, they don't want to go out there at 12 o'clock at 12:30. It's a holiday. They don't want that. So let's keep it here in Detroit. We like it.
I know they won't do anything, and it's not like I'm going to stop watching it. It's just I'd like to see a good game every now and then if I'm watching Thanksgiving football. That's really my take on this.
Tim Boyle and the Red Rifles, not exciting you and your family for?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't even know if Jared Goff is playing because not like
Jared Goff's going to play.
He's leaning towards
I know
playing.
it's leaning towards he will. So
my ideal thing for Thanksgiving and the Lions being on there every year at 12:30 is that one year nobody in Detroit goes to the game, so the NFL is forced to figure something out with nobody in the stands, and hopefully people figure out that the Fords need to do something totally different. Just probably get rid of the team. I mean, it's never going to happen because once you own an NFL team, you're in that fraternity. You'll never change. But I would love to see the Fords get embarrassed on national television at some point in my life. Just seeing empty seats all over Ford Field on Thanksgiving in prime time.
Sure.
For me, I'm kind of on the same page as Brian. It's just you have to. The fans complain about the product we put on the field, but they don't do anything to show that the team in the league that, hey, we're done with this. I remember at one point you couldn't even watch Lions games on TV because they used to black out every week. But that's the kind of point that they need to prove it. I'm not wasting my money personally going to the Thanksgiving Day game.
No.
It's just we're so used to tradition. I just think people here in Detroit are just like, hey, we got the Lions on, but any team who gets to play Lions each year, usually most time it's the Bears or the Packers or whatever. We might be lucky to get against a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning here and there, but they just salivate being able to destroy the Lions, and I think that's just like the NFL's like the experiment thing. So they're like, hey, let's put the Lions on there. They'll get embarrassed, but who cares? And as far as Dallas, I absolutely hate the Dallas Cowboys with the utmost passion, but they will always, as long as Jerry Jones owns the Cowboys, they're never getting away from being America's team because they're the most lucrative franchise in the NFL, and that's never going to change. As much as I hate to say that, but people just love them. I have family members who are Cowboy fans, so I don't understand it. So anytime I can get to see them lose, it makes me happy, just like seeing the Cleveland Browns lose.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that don't like the Thanksgiving Day game, even here in Detroit. My brother and his 5-6 friends from college. They had for 10 years, they had season tickets, and every Thanksgiving, my brother was calling me up. He's like, yeah, so-and-so doesn't want to go. I for 7 or 8 years out of the 10, I was going because people were like, this team sucks. I don't want to. I'd just rather stay home. Well, that's what happens. You go and somebody's like, hey, you want these tickets? And people don't mind going down there, give them something to do for Thanksgiving. Not everybody enjoys their family. Gives people an excuse to go down and get wasted. Like that's what people do in Detroit. It's a Thanksgiving tradition. You go down there.
They sad drink.
Yeah, watch the Lions, just get blasted, and bring some paper bags. You go down there, you go down there. You feel like you're in a good mood, but you get into the second half, and that Lions liquor, starts setting in. And everybody gets mean. You get some fights in the stands. I mean, that's the tradition of Detroit.
It's been some painful losses. Thinking about the time last year was Deshaun, correct? Deshaun came in here and destroyed him with no team. I remember Peyton Manning came in when I was a kid, destroyed him. Tom Brady came in weird, destroyed them. Even who was the Bears backup quarterback? Chase
Daniel.
Daniels let him up in
Yeah.
his like third career start. So it's just anytime you want to play Lions, it's basically a get right game for your confidence for your team. So I think, like I said, teams salivated it, but as fans we're used to the tradition. But at the same time, you just watch the losing. So you already expect it. You're already drunk and eating your food by the time it comes. You're just like, all right, halftime, I'm over it. On to the next game.
Yeah,
that's right.
Way to put it.
That's it. I don't have much to say about the Browns game. That was Dan Campbell calling the play. I mean, that was a.
Has there been a reason yet why he's taking over? Like, I understand that the offense wasn't working with Anthony Lynn calling plays, but the offense is not working with Dan Campbell calling plays either. I mean, what in the world is he saying? Like when he's saying that I don't want to put Tim Boyle in this spot to throw the ball deep. Dude, you're calling runs and draw plays on 3rd and forever. Like, you just air it out. Who cares? Like, at the end of the day, the Lions are 0-9-1 now, right? They're 0-9-1.
0-9-1.
Just throw the ball downfield. Who cares? I mean, David Blau has to have like embarrassing pictures, inappropriate pictures on Dan Campbell or something. I'm not a proponent of having David Blau be the Lions starter, but just put him out there. If like Tim Boyle can't throw, Jared Goff can't throw the ball downfield, can David Blau throw the ball downfield? It's worth a shot, right?
We've seen Blau. I mean, he sucks.
Just
like the rest of them, right? That's it. I
He
mean,
fits
that's
perfectly
the
on
thing
that
with
team.
What's that now?
You said he sucks. I said he fits perfectly on that team.
Yeah, he does, and that's the thing with Dan Campbell. It's like you can get up there and you can yell, and then you can cry, like he did the one game. Then you can get angry, and then you can take over the play calling, and you can turn over the spread after the game. And he's doing all the things that a lot of other Lions coaches. But the thing is, did they get screwed against the Baltimore? They did. Could they have won another game? Yeah, they could. But the Cincy game or the Philly game were embarrassments. And you know what? I think a lot of people, there'll be some people that none of this matters. It matters. That goose egg in the win column matters. He looks more like a clown every week, unfortunately for him and for home. I mean, they get over there and have a goose egg and try to come back in the off season. People are going to be like, "Ooh."
Well, he made his job so much harder by taking over calling plays. I mean, at the end of the year, if they fire Anthony Lynn, they will fire Anthony Lynn. He can be like, "Wow, Anthony Lynn sucked. Thank God he was calling the plays and I wasn't." But now his target on his back went from that to that. I mean, I don't get why in the world he would take over playing. This guy who's never called plays. I just don't get it. It makes zero sense. And his whole shtick, like what you were saying about the crying, the laughing at press conferences, the race helmet, all this stuff, it's going down quickly, man. It's getting real ugly. And just I think Homeboy is going to be lionized by like 0-11. He's going to turn into just Jim Caldwell or something, just stone cold. It's bad. It's real bad right now.
You're right. He's got to stop with all the extra nonsense that you were just listening. He's just got to focus in and be a freaking head coach and maybe get a win with this team, and not with calling the plays and crying and laughing and doing all of that. Just buckle down and act like you want to keep your job.
I want him to win a game, but my favorite part of last week's game was, and I hate to say this because Rob, sitting right there, like at one point the Browns ran Chubb to the left side, and Anzalone, who's Rob's guy, got hit and went ass over head or whatever, teacup or whatever the saying is, and I just felt terrible for him. There he is. There's Anzalone. Wasn't his finest day.
Has any week been his finest day? Everybody on the team sucks. It's just that simple at the end of the day. I mean, I can't pick out anybody. At the end of the day, DeAndre Swift is our best player, and that's honestly it, man. And he's been okay. He's not been stellar. TJ Hawkinson hasn't been good. There's not one good NFL player on this team right now. It's a
Penei Sewell's been grading out.
Penei Sewell's been good.
And Tracy Walker's been grading out well. Yeah, I mean, look, you're grasping at straws. I mean, that point. I'm not over here to start talking about Tracy Walker's but get a good PFF grade. I mean, it's been a disaster.
I might jump ship and just become a Chargers fan. I love Justin Herbert. I think their uniforms are sick. I think they're on the come up. I might jump ship and just root for the Chargers. I'm getting to that point.
They need fans.
Yeah, they need fans. My Steelers took over that game, that crowd. So
them going to LA was the dumbest thing. Just I love the Chargers. I love
100%.
Justin Herbert. I think I'm all in on the Chargers now.
Real quick on the Lions, I just want to say when it comes to Dan Campbell, here's the thing. In the NFL, you can trip into at least 1 or 2 wins. I don't care how bad you are. Look at the New York Jets. They have arguably the worst defense in the league. They went down to Mike. Even they had Joe Flacco playing now, for God's sake. You got Urban Meyer, who has no idea what he's doing. They got 2 wins. The Texans, look at them with Tyrod Taylor just winning. You have to win a game in order to establish some type of credibility, because if you go into the offseason with 0 wins, his credibility takes a hit, especially, taking the plays away from Anthony Lynn. Now, what offensive coordinator is going to want to come here and work alongside of you? Because as soon as he doesn't do what you like, then he can do the same thing to you. So you put yourself in a box when you decide to do that. And when I watch him out there, he just looks totally lost. Like he just
confused.
Like like I could go out there and coach better than him, run X's all better than him. Just if that's what you hired the guy to do, let them do what they need to do. That's it.
Adrian, you hit that perfectly on the head, because you look at the Falcons, for example. They're a mess. They got rid of Julio. Matt Ryan is a statue. They have a terrible cap situation. Arthur Smith looked at the lines like, yeah, I'm going to go to Atlanta. I'm going to do that. And look at them. They've carved out a few wins. Atlanta's played well. I mean, it's shocking what's going on.
Well, I think the sobering part is you look at some of the Jets are kind of comparable to the Lions, and a team that's been downtrodden and looked at as a joke as a franchise. And, with Flacco or White or, nobody's sitting around talking about they wish they had Zach Wilson. I watched, it came down because I've got Kyler Murray in my fantasy league. I had to take somebody, that was playing. I should have went with Ben Roethlisberger. I went with stupid Daniel Dimes, and he sucks. I mean, the Giants can't continue with him. And, that guy was a top 10 pick, so it's no sure thing with all these, like you get, and there's no quarterback that's sitting out there. The 3 guys that they're talking about being first rounders, like there's really no end to this in sight. I mean, that's the thing, like hoping that the Lions are going to get lucky or get it right with the quarterback. They're going to bring in Danny Dimes or something after he gets cut by the Giants, or Marcus Mariota could compete with Jared Goff. That doesn't sound very exciting.
I don't want to throw up or burn Allen Park down. Please don't even talk about Danny Dimes coming to Detroit or Marcus Mariota coming to Detroit.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
I would throw up. I can't even think about that. That sounds horrible.
Adrian, you mentioned now that Campbell's, taking over OC, who's going to want to come there and do that job? Equally as important, who's going to want to sign there as a free agent? They're not going to be able to get anybody, which is it's just going to continue of having no talent and no wins, and it's just going to be a disaster forever, as it has been.
They better hit on every single draft pick.
Exactly.
in next year's draft. So that's really all I can say. Oh, and I want to tell you guys, I had Jonathan Taylor in my fantasy league over the weekend. So, easy victory for me. So I feel very good about that pick.
Well, I have Jonathan Taylor too, but I ended up losing by 3 points because I had freaking Daniel Jones as my sub-in quarterback. I had Justin Fields, and then, you start at 1 o'clock, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take Danny Dimes over Justin Fields. I should have taken Ben Roethlisberger. How about Sideshow? RAAJ, go ahead, Adrian. I want you to take this one. We're just talking about the quarterback. And Desmond Ridder, he's the quarterback of Cincinnati right now, the team that is number 4 in the college football playoff rankings.
Desmond Ridder in the second round.
At number 33?
No, they need to hit everything in the trenches. Defensive line, offensive line. They don't even need to touch a quarterback right now. They're so inept everywhere. Unless you could get a Deshaun Watson, or whatever, but that's not gonna happen clearly. But no, they need everything at this point. So I would go defensive line or offensive line with the first 2 picks.
I would go straight defense all draft and try to lure in some lower tier wide receivers this year and hope for next year.
Follow the Carolina Panthers from 2 years ago at Matt Rule and company.
Yeah, exactly.
Goff and Boyle, are you guys quarterbacks next year?
Oh,
you're stuck with Goff next year regardless, so you might as well just ride that out.
maybe just sit with Goff for a couple of years, wait for CJ Stroud to come into the draft and take him.
I'm fine with that. I'll wait. I have no problem waiting for that.
Not going anywhere anytime soon, so.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But, I mean, it's shown that Ohio State quarterbacks really haven't worked out in the NFL. Hopefully that changes, but I would love to see C.J. Stroud in Honolulu Blue in 3 years from now.
Yeah, I don't follow just because the guy doesn't work. I mean, he's you got a different head coach. I mean, Ryan Day, he's only been there for a couple of years anyway, so that Ohio State players didn't work out in the past doesn't mean. And I wouldn't mind having Justin Fields on my team, either.
I would love that Justin Fields on my team.
He's got potential.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else on the Detroit Lions and the big Thanksgiving Day tilt coming up?
I just want to say if they don't win Thursday, their next best chance will be, we can talk about it later, would be probably the 26th against Atlanta. That'd be
That's my game. That's my game right there.
This is very sad right here. Andy Dalton might be auditioning for the Fords. There could be the Red Rifle in Detroit. That sideshow, I hate that one. And Pete, you picked the Lions to lose all the way through to the Atlanta game. That's why you're rooting for that, right?
Yep.
I don't like that.
All right, well, that gets us to the fourth chapter. And for that, we're going to have some picks here because we're not going to be here on Thursday, programming announcement with Thanksgiving and everything. So the fifth chapter taking the holiday off. We'll be back on Tuesday, but we are going to make some picks. In addition, we're going to ask anybody if they want to give us their best Thanksgiving story. We've got a lot of people here. Somebody has to have a story before we get to the picks. If nobody has a story, I'll tell one.
I got one.
All right, let's hear it, gentlemen.
I went to my first and only Lions game actually on Thanksgiving 3 or 4 years ago. Me and my dad went before we went to our families, and we got just tanked in the first half of the game. It was awesome. Like Bloody Marys, 200 beers all for the first half. And there was one point I was freshly 21. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy my dad a beer. So I buy like a $15 beer. Turn on my dad's like, you don't buy me beer. So we handed it to some kid. No way that kid was 21, but just gave him a free beer at Ford Field. So that was my giving to somebody on Thanksgiving, handing some 18-year-old kid a beer. And they got railed by the Vikings. So there's that.
Well, I'll jump in because my story is very similar to yours, Jelinek. It was my first Thanksgiving Day game, and it was two of my friends, and I was driving, but my friend was going to drive home because I was going to have a few beers. I was 23 years old. Lions were playing the Bears, but the thing about it is, like, I'd never been to a Thanksgiving Day game, so I'm thinking, we need to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. We have there. So we did. We got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. We had all the beer and everything. We're in my truck. We got there. We were the first ones in line. I don't remember if they opened it up at 7 or 8, the old Silverdome parking lot. We drove right into the middle, and we were the first ones there. We stood around. We looked around this gigantic parking lot, whatever it was, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. We had 5 hours to tailgate. We had that grill going. I think we had 2 cases of beer, and woo! I'm glad my one friend took us home because I don't really recall. And the Lions lost the game, something like 10-6. But it reminds me a couple years later when my brother took me to a game, and we were out there tailgating, and we were having so much fun at the tailgate. We said, let's screw it. Let's just stay here. And the one guy, like I was the young kid, they said, we really like your puffy jacket that you're wearing. Let's see how many beers we can fit in that puffy jacket, and we'll push it through the old Silverdome world that, like, you had to go through like you're going into the revolving door, and it kind of sucked you through there. But they didn't have security like this pre 9/11 and everything. I had about 12 beers in this jacket waddling in. I'm like, there's no way that these guys are I'm gonna get thrown out. I'm gonna get thrown out. They took me. They were all side by side. We went in. 12 beers.
Really quickly, do you guys go out the night before Thanksgiving? Yes or no?
Used to.
I used to, not anymore. Like tomorrow, I definitely won't. I'll be sitting at home, probably watching college basketball or something. I used to. But
best bar night of the year. Everybody's coming back from college. You local bar scene. It's the best bar night of the year. So we
just bought a house in Royal Oak, and we're pre-gaming to go out tomorrow night. So really looking forward to that. But I think I'm getting to the age where it's too old. So I think this is the last year I'm going out on Thanksgiving Eve, and then I'll retire. I'll hang my jersey in the rafters for the 23rd.
It's a strange transition. I remember probably about 10 years ago, I'm sitting around with my now, wife, and we're like, we were hanging like a, Christmas tree and everything. We're sitting around and I'm thinking, well, looking at my phone, where you at? They're like, no, I'm just going to chill. And
I'll be out.
As you get older, those hangovers get worse, man.
Dude, they're terrible.
They're terrible. Pete doesn't know about that yet, but it doesn't get. It's not fun. It's not fun at all.
It's not fun at all. I'm 25 and my hangovers are brutal. I just want to. I don't want to move the day after. So it's gonna be a rough Thanksgiving morning for me. I can tell you that.
Good.
All right, let's make some picks.
Looking forward to it next year. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's make some picks.
All right.
Do it.
Let's start off. Before we get into the picks, I got the updated records. I didn't have them last week. Right now, obviously, this is starting after Brian left us on Thursday. So this is the three of us. Right now, Adrian's on top. He's 11-8.
Woo.
Oh,
Dennis, you and I are both below 500 right now.
Hate to see it.
You're 9-10, so you're right there. I'm a little bit lower at 7-12. The first week was good for all of us. Next week, for me at least, was brutal. So that's kind of what's been screwing me over here. But anyway,
I felt the pain. I see the games. I'm just picking them here, but I've definitely felt the pain of being below 500. It's no fun.
Well, you got lucky too with the Dolphins one a couple weeks ago.
Hey, I did get lucky on that Dolphins game. You remember? Remember, I bet it accidentally. For real.
I remember. Anyway, let's get into it. I got 2 college football games. That's it. We got the important ones, the ones that we all care about. You know what they are. Let's start it off. Penn State, Michigan State, 3:30. It was Michigan State -1, but right now it's Penn State -2, which I don't know about that. So let's go to Brian for this.
Oh, give me Michigan State all day long. I'm not sure what the money line is, but hammer the Michigan State money line. I just don't think I think Penn State and Michigan State are kind of the same team, but I think Michigan State's going to be a little bit better just for the fact they have Kenneth Walker III and they have a solid D-line. Give me Michigan State all day long.
Let's go to Adrian.
I'm going to take Michigan State money line. They're back at Spartan Stadium, coming off a bad loss, ready to go and prove people wrong. Sean Clifford and the offensive line are terrible. Pete, sorry to tell you. I think Michigan State will get after them and put this season to bed, and hopefully James Franklin can live up to this contract extension. So.
Yeah, that's right. Both guys, James Franklin gets his $100 million. Mel Tucker, these guys are going to meet at midfield. Just be like, let's go. Who cares?
I know.
What
yeah.
happens in this game?
Finesse.
We got $200 million between us. Who the hell cares what happens? But if this game was being played in Happy Valley, where's it being played?
It's at Michigan State.
Yeah, I'm taking Michigan State. I think that's going to be the deciding factor here. I think the Spartans will win. I think I would lay 3-4 points on this one. So I think that line's a little bit too low anyway. So give me the Spartans.
You know what? Hang on, I have to do a quick.
Real
quick. I just realized I have nothing on.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, that's lame. That's lame.
No, it's not, Pete. I like it.
Look,
make the pick.
It's the last regular season game. I gotta go with it. As much as lousy as Penn State has been this last half of the season, Michigan State got really humbled against Ohio State, and at least Penn State gave them a run for their money. As much as I don't want to, and as much as I don't want to hurt my record, I'm gonna say Penn State. So you know what?
Okay.
Moving on. Ohio State at Michigan. Again, I don't know why this game is at noon. This is, I don't know who's in charge of that, but they deserve to be fired. Ohio State's holding -8. Adrian, we're going to turn to you to start off.
I'm shocked that this game is only Ohio State -8, but give me Ohio State by touchdown.
I'm taking Michigan outright. I think the money line was like 216 or something like that, or 260. I'm gonna hammer Michigan money line tomorrow. I think. Give it to me. Give it to me all day long. I feel confident. I think Michigan's gonna play real well. They're gonna control the ball, run and throw the ball with power. I think it's gonna be a really solid game. Give me the Wolverines.
All right,
Yeah, I think Michigan's going to deploy the old Bill Parcells Super Bowl against the Buffalo Bills, like he was talking about on the Manning Cast last night. They're going to shrink this game. I feel really good that it's not Don Brown as the defensive coordinator, and they will have a game plan. It shouldn't be the coaches that decide this. It'll be the players. And I think Michigan has the personnel here to keep it close. I'll take those 8 points.
Yeah, the fact that it's only 8, I think Ohio State's going to handle this no problem. Again, I know, Brian, you were saying they haven't faced anybody good on the road, but they're hitting their stride right now, and they're unstoppable. They handle Michigan State without a blink of an eye, and they're going to take this game no question.
All right. Okay.
I think the only thing about that is Michigan State's pass defense is so terrible. It was ranked 110.
Yeah. Sure.
They went right after it and just kept hitting and hitting and hitting. And I think Michigan's going to be a little bit better when it comes to
it'll definitely be closer.
Yeah. Well, it's
kind of hard to not be, but
yeah.
I still see this game being a nice double-digit difference.
I'm not going to argue with you.
And then we turn to some Thanksgiving football.
Woo!
We got all 3 of these games right here. Starting off Bears and Lions. We got Bears -3. I'm going to go to Dennis to start off with this one.
Well, the last time I liked the Lions was against the Eagles, and that was one of the craziest things. Like, why would I, I bet them outright. Then I got down 10. I'm like, well, I'm getting 10. Then I was like, I'm taking them on a money line. Like, I'm getting 24 points, throwing good money after bad. And I thought, I'm never going to do this again, because the previous time I did it, it was against Cincinnati. I'm like, all right, I'm going to root for the Lions. They're going to win it outright. And then, they got destroyed in that game too. I feel like the Lions are going to win on Thanksgiving, but I'm not going to bet it. And I don't even, I'm not going to pick it. I've seen it too many times, and I'm going to take Andy Dalton to take care of, Darnell Mooney's on my fantasy team. That's who I'm going to be rooting for. I think the Bears win this one 24-17.
Oh, wait, there we go. I can't really. It's backwards. I'm trying to point to Brian, but that's not working out for me.
Yeah, Andy Dalton, at the end of the day, you have to remember that he was a decent quarterback at one time. I get that he's a million years old now, and he's the backup to Justin Fields and everything like that. But, he has Allen Robinson on his team, so there's nobody.
He's hurt.
Oh, perfect. All right. Well, still, give me the Bears. I think they're a better team all around. What was the line you said, Pete?
-3.
Oh, Bears will absolutely cover that. I'm not worried about that at all. Give me the Bears.
I'm going to take the Red Rifle and the Bears in 24-7. He throws 2 touchdowns. Montgomery gets in the mix. Dan Campbell loses his mind again. Matt Nagy saves his job for another week. So give me the Bears to cover.
I feel like I always mess up the Lions pick. Every time I think they're going to get blown out, they manage to stay in. And every time I think they manage to stay in, they get blown out. But I'm taking the Bears. 3 points is not that much. The Red Rifle is going to lead them to a victory here.
Let's go to the Anzalone update desk for the selection here. Rob,
Sorry.
Who are you picking in this game on Thanksgiving?
Well, obviously, I just want to say first, Michigan is 5th in the college playoff rankings officially, and also Luke Garza just got opened up in the Pistons game. I will go with Alex Anzalone with a pick-6 touchdown.
Wow.
Also, Anzalone will play quarterback on one play in the Wildcat and win the game. Lions by 7.
If Anzalone has a pick-6, I will buy you whatever bottle of liquor you want.
I will, Rob. I will fly myself out to Detroit just to shake your hand if you call that.
Pistol Penn State Pete, I got this, baby. Lions all day.
All right.
I'm pulling for an Anzalone pick-6 too.
I'm pulling for a hard, Brian.
So is the entire community. Everyone wants it. It's what you need. Peace, gentlemen.
All right, good job. Happy Thanksgiving. Do we have any more picks?
We got the 2 more. We got the 2 more Thanksgiving games. We got real quick. Let's run through them. We got Raiders at Cowboys. Cowboys are -7.5. Let's go to Adrian.
Cowboys coming off of a terrible performance against that Kansas City Chiefs who revived. The Raiders are a terrible football team. I feel really bad for Derek Carr, but probably no CeeDee Lamb. But give me Dak to bounce back, throw 3 touchdowns, win 24-10 on Thanksgiving.
Let's go, Brian.
I would like to say the Kansas City defense and the Raiders defense is fairly comparable, and the fact that Dak Prescott didn't do anything against Kansas City hurts. There's some I get Dak's a good guy. He's like a good person, talking about all of his issues and all that. But at the end of the day, there's something about him on a football field I just can't stand. He's on the list. I don't know why I hate him. I just do. Give me the Raiders all day long to cover.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's too many points. Like, I like the Cowboys to win the game, but I wouldn't bet that. That's a gigantic fat spread. I'll take the 7.5.
Yeah, and like I said, Dallas has lost 5 of the last 7 Thanksgiving games, and
Perfect.
yeah, they got embarrassed against Kansas City. I thought they were going to win that game, even though the Raiders aren't that good. I'm going to take them to cover the spread. So
Yeah, the Cowboys are banged up. Oh, Cooper's hurt. Everybody's hurt. Not everybody. Cooper's hurt.
A lot of them are hurt. All right, and then the last game, Bills at the Saints, the best game of the day. Bills are -6 right now. We're gonna go to Brian to start it off.
So Jameis is hurt, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Does that mean it's Trevor Siemian or what's his Trevor Siemian?
Yeah, Trevor Siemian,
Wow.
I believe.
Because Taysom's also hurt.
Give me the
He
line
just
one more
signed a
time. Give me the line one more time.
-6.
Give me the Bills, man. Trevor Siemian's not a good quarterback. I'm sorry. I love the Bills. I think they do need to right the ship, and I think this might be the game for them to do it. Give me the Buffalo Bills, man.
All right, let's go to 5th for the next pick.
Mark Ingram joins Alvin Kamara on the non-participant in Saints practice. I mean, who's going to be the running back for him? They got they don't have their quarterback. They don't have a running back. The Bills. I like the Bills by double digits in this game.
I'm gonna go Bills. Win by a touchdown. They're gonna bounce back after that. After getting clobbered by Carson Wentz and Jonathan Taylor. Too much firepower. Josh Allen has to play better. So give me Buffalo.
Yeah, let's keep it nice and easy. Buffalo's got this game, I think, undoubtedly, but you never know. But yeah, Josh Allen is going to steamroll them.
A quick check-in. There you go. The Thibodeau. All right. Thanks to Rob and Mr. a.k.a. Anzalone, #1 fan. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. Great holiday week. We'll talk with you next Tuesday. Adrian, Pete, at home there, and JELINEK. Everybody have a great day. And thanks to CashToBitcoin.com being our presenting sponsor. And, hey, everybody, live it up. Have a great holiday.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
All right, say goodbye again, JELINEK. You always do. You do a great job at the end.
Oh, thanks for having me